One of the biggest changes from being in band is I'm not scared of roller coasters anymore, so that's exciting. But I guess a little more seriously, I've kind of learned the importance of making mistakes in order to get better. Like, I don't know, that doesn't sound right. Like, I'm not afraid of messing up because I know that that's the only way I can learn how to do something right. Okay, one of my favorite band memories was freshman year at band camp when we were still in the cabins, and the drum line thought it was really fun to come around at like 5 in the morning, I think, to wake everyone up. And apparently this was a long-running tradition that doesn't happen anymore. And Emily Bardron was in our cabin, and her mom was our cabin mom. And they came, because she was a girl, she got to come in the cabin, and she came barging into our cabin with their cymbal and starts crashing it by her mom's bed, and her mom got really mad and screamed, "Get out!" and starts throwing shoes at the drum line until they left.
Being in band changed me from 6th grade. I really opened up to people, really got to be myself around my friends, and just really made things a lot easier, talking to people especially. My favorite band memory was my sophomore year. We were in Peak, and I was talking to Dan Hergenrieder, and Brianna Summer comes in, and she thought I had elf ears. And she came up to me and was like, "Alec, you have super cute elf ears." I'm like, thanks. But then Dan talked to her and was like, "Hey, I think you just said Alec was cute." And Brianna got super red and ran out of Peak and didn't talk to me for the rest of the band camp.
Being in band changed me by letting me express myself more to people and not be as shy around other people. My favorite band memory was in freshman year. Me, Jarrett, and Nathan and Zach, we were out in front of our cabin, and there were some chipmunks running around, and so we started chasing them around. We almost caught one. Jarrett threw a stick at one, missed them, and then they ran up the trees, and so we went back into the cabin to wait for them to come down, but they never did.
Being in band changed me because when I was coming in as a freshman, I was actually rather shy, and I think band really helped open me up by helping me meet new people, giving me more experiences, and really just allowing me to, I guess, come out of my shell like everybody else does. My favorite memory in band was my freshman year, and they were cracking down on people being sheep, following the older people. And so that senior show, I decided I'm not going to be a sheep, and I'm going to think for myself. So I decided that, okay, I'm on the side of the field close to the train tracks, and that was on the practice field. Little did I know that the practice field and the actual field are facing different directions, and so by saying that I was on the train tracks, I was actually switched around when we went to the actual performance. And when we got out to the actual performance, I went over to the side that I was, thinking I was on. Really, I was on the opposite side of the field. They blew the whistle, and I had to march out to my spot going across the entire band.
Being in band changed me. Like everyone says, it made me more outgoing and more willing to be myself, I'd say. And another big problem of mine was feeling like I needed to control things. So it's helped me kind of relinquish that control to other people. My favorite memory of band was from this year. I've had a lot of health issues related to heat, so that causes a lot of problems for marching band. And this year, it was one of the last days of band camp, and I was feeling gross again. And so I had to sit on the sidelines, and no matter what I did, I would not feel better. And it was really starting to upset me, and Megan came over and sat with me and talked to me and stuff for a long time until everybody had went to dinner and stuff. And it was just really nice to be able to talk to her like that.
Being in band changed me by making me more open and making me more of a go-forth guy, because before I got in band I was kind of a loner where I didn't have any friends, but now I'm kind of out there trying to make friends with people, and I'm more in tune with time, where I'm more early to opportunities and all that, where I try to take forth initiative. My favorite memory of band was when I went into my cabin first year of band camp freshman year, when I went into my cabin and saw Jordan Volders yelling at someone for taking his bedding and putting it in the closet, and I kind of backed out of the cabin thinking, I don't want to get wrapped in this, and then coming back seeing they pranked me by putting carpet cleaner, covered my sleeping bag with carpet cleaner and covering my hat with the carpet powder.
Being in band changed me by making me more comfortable with talking to people that I'm not close with. I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily more outgoing, but I definitely am a lot more comfortable with talking to people that I don't know at all or only know a little bit, so I'm better at making friends, I guess. My favorite band memory happened this year in a football game. We were in the stands and Kayla calls to me from the Susie section, and I turn around and she goes, "Look at your brother." So I do, and Jensen is standing there surrounded by the color guard girls with his hair all done up with bobby pins and ponytails, and he's just dancing around having a great time. And I really shouldn't have expected anything less from him. It was funny.
Being in band changed me by showing me that I don't need to be what other people think I should be. It helped me find out that it's okay to be yourself, and it doesn't really matter what people think of you. It's okay to just do what you want to do and be you. My favorite memory in band was senior year band camp. It was like 10 o'clock at night. Me, Jory, and Zach were both in the top bunk. I'm not sure which one it was, on the aisle across from me, and they were talking. I wasn't really paying attention to what they were saying, but all of a sudden, Zach points at the adjacent bunk to mine, and it's a vacant bunk, and he says, "Ooh, a spider!" So there's about a 2-foot clearing from the bed to the ceiling from where he is, so best he can, he tries to stand up, and he reaches his leg across the aisle and puts it on the guardrail of my bunk, and as he's shifting his weight over to my bunk, he hits his head on this light, and he loses his footing on my bunk, and his one foot drops to the ground, and his other foot gets caught on the guardrail on the bunk that he was just on, and he's standing there for a couple seconds with one foot on the ground and the other one up in the air stuck on the rail, and we're all just laughing at him.
Being in band changed me because I learned that you need to stop, think, and make a plan. And in order to do that, you need to reschedule like other things around your band events, and you need to find out how to get to your spot on the field and see how to get there. My favorite band memory would probably be when Cassie brought these kazoos to band camp and a chicken head, and me and Alexis and Cassie, we played them, and we made a kazoo band, and during the breaks we would play them and the rest of the color guard would dance around us, and then we played that for the staff and they thought it was hilarious.
Being in band changed me that when I was in middle school I always wanted to hide behind the crowd. So now that I'm in band I wanted to be above and just play out, and it's led me to do other things that I normally wouldn't do. My favorite band memory it was just last marching season. It was 8th grade night, and I was just talking to some 8th graders like I normally do when I get hit in the head by something. I turned to go look up to see who it was, and I kicked the hat under the stands. So I'm freaking out, gotta fix the stand, get the hat, and I realized, it turns out that it was Cassie, and she threw a banana at me, just for no reason.
So being in band has changed me to be more responsible with my time, and it made me more, not like really outgoing, but it was easier to talk to new people and meet them. My favorite band memory was this past band camp, and Cassie White decided to bring a Chucky doll. And so she put it on top of the bathroom mirror because we wanted to scare people. And Christina Miller walked in and she just started freaking out a lot.
Being in band changed me because it kind of helped me discover what I really like doing in life. My favorite memory in band was from a band camp of this year. We were in the Peak Common Room before we did our senior game, and everyone's doing this very dramatic meeting about the rules of the game and whatnot. And I was sitting there with my backpack on my lap and stuff, and they're going through the meeting and stuff. And I feel this like wetness in my lap, and I'm like, what? And I lift my backpack up, and my water bottle was in there, and it had opened up and had leaked everywhere. So it had all just flooded onto me and went down onto the floor. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And like, I'm freaking out about this. Meanwhile, all the seniors are crying. And I turned to Dan and Hannah, who are next to me, and I'm like, guys, I need a Secret Service style exit on the way out, just so no one thinks I peed my pants, okay? And they're like, okay, yeah. And they did that, and well, all thanks to them, no one in the band will ever have to know that I peed my pants.
Being in band changed me because I used to be like more introverted, I guess. And now I don't really care about what people think of me, and I feel more free to be myself and who I am and not worry about other people judging me for it. My favorite memory in band was sophomore year. We had the Chinese exchange students come by, and we had a superhero show. We ran through it like twice, and we had our flags and we had our little shields that Becky made for us. And one of the students, they came over to me, and I don't think he spoke English too well, and he motioned for the flag and the shield, and I was like, okay, take it. So he took it, and he had the shield like this, and then he had the flag like this, and he's like, this is Sparta! And then he gave it back, laughing really hard, and I didn't know what to do.
Being in band changed me by bringing me out of my shell, even though it's a really cliche thing to say. I think that I wouldn't have a lot of the friend group or the support group I would have without band. And so it definitely exposed me to people. Whereas in middle school I was always the quietest kid, and now I'm somewhat of the opposite. My favorite memory in band was freshman year. I decided to bring a rubber duck, like a dog toy, to band camp. And the first night, someone had a projector and was playing Call of Duty on the wall. And at the same time, we were having an indoor game of rugby with this rubber duck, and may or may not have broken the seal off one of the fire extinguishers and a couple light bulbs. But it was pretty fun just to have that indoor game of rugby.
Okay, so being in band changed me. It definitely has made me more social. Like, that's like a total typical response that everyone says, but it really has made me more social. Like, I have friends I would never have had, like, without band. And I guess, like, it also taught me for me to be more on time to things. Like, not a typical response, but it really has helped me with that. Oh boy, my favorite band memory. That was junior year at band camp. Someone was messing around with Gold Bond outside on the sidewalk. This was at cabin F, and that's a whole other story. But it was after it rained, so we couldn't sleep it off because it was just stuck on the sidewalk. And so, like, I was looking around for things, and I saw this plunger just sitting in the corner, and I'm like, let's try this and see if it works. And it worked really well. And so I just, like, plunged the sidewalk for 5 minutes while the other school was just walking by when I had a Dan's sombrero on. And that's, like, that was, like, really good.
Being in band changed me by not caring what other people think, to just do your best, and it doesn't matter if they think you're inferior or they don't like you. It doesn't really matter in the end as long as you prove your best. My favorite memory in band was instantly walking into the cabin sophomore year, and suddenly Brady Wagner and Jordan Volders were fighting over a tube of Gold Bond, and powder got all over the cabin, and Zach was throwing his duck around.
Being in band changed me it made me from being a shy kid in like 6th grade and by making me be more outgoing than I already am. It made me be talkable, made me more sociable than I was back then. It made me make new friends and be more outgoing. My favorite band memory is when we went to Kalahari last year. In the wave pool, we all decided to get out floaties and decided to pretend we're doing drill formation with a lot of us pretending to keep a circle and then people being in the middle being all crazy, trying to keep the circle while the waves were coming.
Being in band changed me because I was never really that outgoing of a person at first, and I really didn't have any creative outlets for myself. But through band and through music, I was able to express myself in ways that I normally couldn't, and it allowed me to be more open with not only myself, but my friends and my family members. My favorite band memory was sophomore year at band camp. I was in Cabin A for the first time, and I was always warned about it. Do not be in it. That's full of seniors and juniors, and they're just going to give you a hard time. But with Chase and Cody, it was a lot of fun because not only did they make every single night a laugh, but I remember Bigley, we were reciting scenes from Full Metal Jacket for a decent hour and a half the entire night. And it was just extremely fun, and it was most likely, and is, my favorite memory.
Being in band changed me by making me realize that sometimes, even if you work really hard for something, you're not always going to get it. But this is a team, and everybody is part of it, and every single person on this team is crucial to our success. My favorite memory of band was last year. We got a piece called Vesuvius, and we were just kind of skimming it over before we played it through the first time, and there was a word, sultry, and I had read it as poultry. And so I turned to Cassie and I said, why is poultry in our music? And H had explained it to somebody and said, essentially, it means sexy. So I was like, how are we supposed to play like sexy chickens? And Cassie pointed out my error, and since then, sultry poultry has been a long-running joke. And we actually took a picture of a chicken wearing a bikini and photoshopped a trumpet on it and declared it as the mascot of our section.
Being in band changed me because in 6th grade I was a really shy and sheltered individual, and I was scared out of my mind, and band has just opened up like new opportunities and made me meet more people, and it brought me out of my comfort zone. And my 6th grade self would see me as like really outgoing and like bubbly, and she'd be so shocked to see that, and that's just something that's amazing to me. My favorite memory of band was CMU Jazz Fest my junior year when Brendan bet me if I could drink an entire large cup of Mountain Dew at lunchtime. And everyone that was sitting at my table was super shocked. They were like, you did not just drink that. And then my entire section has a rule with me where you cannot give me caffeine under any circumstances ever after that. And basically, I was uncontrollably laughing, and then Brendan acted like it was a job, and he's like, I was stuck with this crazy ginger, and it was so bad. And then Alec, which made my day, Alec was like, well, Morgan, I've known you for so long, and I've never seen you this crazy, and it just made my day. I was like, oh my goodness.
Being in band changed me because it took me out of my shell. I came from a parochial school, so I was in a class of 10. And so moving to a class of 300 was a bit difficult, and band helped me with that, and it made me more social. My favorite band memory was when we were playing Capture the Senior, and there were like 10 of us that all decided to hide by where the drum major podium was. and we were just standing around talking, and like Mr. Soiseki found us, and he threatened to like tell people where we were, but he didn't, and no one found us. So then we started running at random sections because we were bored.
Being in band changed me because it's taught me to reach outside my comfort zone and be able to reach out to other people that I normally wouldn't reach out to. So it's developed interpersonal skills for me, and it's maybe get friends that I wouldn't have had outside of this program, so I'm very thankful for that. And it's also taught me that to be a leader, you don't have to have a leadership position, but you can just lead by example, and that I think is really effective in itself, and just that's a really like good lifelong skill to lead by. My favorite band memory, there's lots to choose from hanging out with my drumline guys to just my senior buds, but I'd have to say my favorite one was the last night before we went out to the bonfire. Seniors always, typically guys, they show how not to dance, and so Colin and I were showing them how not to dance, and Jarrett was Jesus, as we call it. So we started doing the kind of dancing that you're not supposed to do. And let's just say it ended up with me on top of Colin on the ground, and Jarrett tried pulling me off of him, but I just swiped right at him, and it got a little carried away, but it was a lot of fun and everybody laughed. And I think the ironic part is like 5 minutes before this happened, I was crying, like explaining that you need to be dead silent walking out to the fire, and from that to the dancing part, it was fun.
Being in band changed me because I used to think popularity was really important, and trying to fit in was something that we had to do, and I thought it was really important. And then I met my best friends in band, and they helped me realize that I don't need to fit in, and that I'm a part of something, that I can be myself whenever I want, and I don't have to change for anyone. My favorite memory in band was at band camp sophomore year. During break, the color guard and some other friends decided to play a card game, and I wanted to win really bad, so I cheated hardcore, and I would hide cards in places that cards shouldn't be, and I also did some other things that I didn't tell anyone about. But I decided to pin it on Trisha and make it seem like she's been cheating the whole time. So I would hide cards behind her back, and then I shouted, "Trisha, what's that behind your back? Have you been cheating this whole time?" And everyone got super ticked off at her, and they believed me that she was actually cheating, and everyone was so angry. But eventually they found out that I did it, and so they all got angry at me, and they didn't trust me the rest of band camp.
Okay, being in band changed me because my father during 6th grade encouraged me to do it, and I have learned to have a passion to do it, and so I have stuck with it because I enjoyed it. It was something that hasn't changed in my life, but was also a very positive influence. There were a lot of things that weren't happening right in my life, and band was one of those things that was consistent and made me feel great. The people involved was very positive, and that is the reason why I stuck in band. My favorite memory of band was during freshman year. There was a senior in Cabin D. His name was Zach Lalonde and his friend Peter Nowak. One day they ended up bringing an air mattress for some apparent reason, and of course no one understood why he would bring such a thing. And he said he was going to make a sauna out of it. And we were all looking over and like, okay, what is he going to do? So he takes one of the bunk beds in the corner, and so there's two sides that were up against the wall. It was at night, and so people ended up taking the showers and had their damp towels. And so he put the damp towels on the one side and then blew up the air mattress and had it on the long side so all the air would keep in. And then we all just got in there and it actually got pretty warm. And I was actually pretty surprised that it actually worked in a way.